Welcome friends to PLSQL and SQL statements session. So, what we will be learning in this session? In this session, we will learn how to write simple SQL statements such as select, insert, update, and delete statements inside a PLSQL block. In this session, we will also understand how seamlessly PLSQL and SQL are integrated with each other. SQL DML statements such as select, insert, update, delete can be executed from PLSQL block directly. We can use values of PLSQL variables in these statements. One can write some logic which will populate PLSQL variable values, and then these values can be used in the DML statements. In case of select statements, there are certain restrictions. In case of select, one must ensure that it must return either 0 or 1 row. Returning of more than one row generates too many rows exception. SQL code and SQL ERRM are two predefined identifiers given by PLSQL to be used in exception handling part. If a SQL has generated an exception, then SQL code contains the error code and SQL ERRM contains the error message. We can access these identifiers in exception handling part of PLSQL block. Please refer to exception handling sessions to learn more details about exceptions. Let us now learn how to embed SQL statements inside a PLSQL block by actually writing some statements. In this demo, we are going to learn how to embed simple DML statements inside a PLSQL block. For this demo, I am going to use a table customer. Let me show you customer table structure here. So here under the connection, let me expand tables. Here you can see there is a table customers which is already created. You can see that it has 3 columns: cust ID, cust type, and cust name. Let us now see the data in this table. So let me click the data tab. You can see that there is only one row with cust ID is equal to 1. This customer's cust type is gold and cust name is Prasad Chitade. So this is a prerequisite for our demo. We are going to use this table in our demo. I have also written a stored procedure for this demo. So let me open that stored procedure. So let's go to procedures and let me open a stored procedure SP SQL PLSQL. Let me edit it. Here you can see in this stored procedure I have declared 3 local variables: lcustid, lcustname, and lcust type. Then in the execution, I am printing the local variables lcustid, lcust type, and lcust name. Let us now go to exception handling part. Here I am capturing all exceptions using when others. In case of exception, first thing I am doing is issuing a rollback. Then here I'm printing values of SQL code and SQL ERRM. So, whenever there is an exception, we will be able to see the values of error code and the corresponding error message. Let us now write a select statement and select a record from customers table and then print its details. So let me just write a select statement here. What I'm doing, I am selecting cust ID, cust type and cust name from customers table. But then I'm selecting them into PLSQL local variables. So cust ID is getting selected into lcustid, cust type is getting selected into lcusttype and cust name is getting selected into lcustname. So this is how I can select a column from a table and then copy its value into local PLSQL variable. Then here I have a where clause. So what that where clause is filtering? It is selecting only those records whose cust ID is equal to 1. So basically this select statement will return us only one row. Let us now compile this procedure and run it to see whether we are able to select a record from customers table or not. So let's come here, compile. You can see the message. The stored procedure is successfully compiled. Let's run it. Let me click OK. There we go. You can see it has executed successfully and now here it is printing the value of cust ID as 1, cust type as gold and cust name is Prasad Chitade. So this shows that our select statement has executed successfully. Then it has read the customer record with cust ID is equal to 1 and then copied its values into local PLSQL variables lcustid, lcustname and lcusttype. And then here we can see the values of those PLSQL variables and those values contains the data which is stored in the customer table. So this is how we can write a simple select statement. There are couple of important aspects of into clause. First, it should be compatible with the column names of select clause. For example, if we try to select character data into a numeric variable, then an exception is raised. So basically, types of selected values must be compatible with PLSQL variable types. Second aspect is order. Order in which values are returned from select. In the same order, they are copied to PLSQL variables. Hence, always double check if you are written your into clause correctly. Let us now learn what happens if we write a select statement such that it returns more than one rows. So let us modify our select statement. Let us remove the where clause. So now this select statement can return us more than one rows. Why? Because it is selecting all rows from customers table. Let us now ensure that our customers table has more than one rows. So let's go to customers table and let's add one more row. So cust ID 3, cust type silver and cust name Samir. Let's commit it. So now our customers table has more than 1 rows. Now let us go back to our code. Let us now compile it and run it. So let me click here, compile it. So it has compiled successfully. Let us run it. There we go. You can see that some error messages are displayed. These are coming from code written in exception handling part. You can see the values of SQL code and SQL ERRM. So it is telling us that the select statement fetch returned more than 1 rows, which is an error. Thus, we need to be careful while writing select statement in PLSQL. It must return 1 row or no rows at all. Let us now learn how to write insert statement. For the insert statement, instead of hard coding the data values, we will refer the local PLSQL variables. So let us initialize these variables with some values. There we go. So here I am initializing lcustID with value 2, then lcusttype with silver, and lcustname is Sumed. Now we will use these values in our insert statement. So let me write an insert statement here. So what I have done? Insert into customers, custID, custtype, and custname. These are the column names of our customers table. And in values, you can see I am referring local PLSQL variables lcustID, lcusttype, and lcustname. So this is how this insert statement is integrated with PLSQL. Let us now write a commit. Let us now compile this procedure and run it. So let me go here and compile it. So it's successfully compiled. Now let's run it. So the procedure has successfully executed, but we would like to see whether the data got inserted or not. So let me go to this customers table. Let's click on data. There we go. You can see a new record is added with custID equal to 2, custtype with is silver, and custname is Sumed. So this is how we can write insert statement inside PLSQL block to insert a record in the database. Let us now go back to our code. Now next step is writing update statement. First, let me comment out the code which we have written for insert. That's it. So we have commented out our insert code. Now let me again reinitialize our PLSQL variables. So here you can see I am initializing lcustID with 2 and lcusttype with gold. Now we will use these variables in our update statement. So here I have written update statement. What I am doing here? Update customers, set custtype equal to lcusttype, which is a PLSQL variable. And again, where condition for this update statement is where custID equal to lcustID. So this is how we have integrated update SQL statement with PLSQL. Let us also print the number of rows updated. We can do it by using SQL percentage row count. This will tell us how many rows were updated or affected when we issued this update statement. Then we have our commit. Now let me also comment this select statement code which we have written. That's it really. So now we have a simple update statement, and then here we are updating a record in customers table whose cust ID is 2. Let us now compile this procedure and run it. So let's compile it. Let me go here, compile. Let's see the messages. Yes, it has compiled successfully. Let us run it. Let me click OK. There we go. You can see it has printed number of rows updated are 1. So it has successfully updated. But now let us see the data, whether it is successfully updated or not. So let me go to customers table. Let me go to data. There we go. Here you can see the customer record with cust ID 2 is now updated with cust type as gold. So our update statement has executed successfully. Let us now go back to our stored procedure code. Now let's learn how to issue a delete statement. Let me now comment the update statement code which I have written. So we have commented the update statement code. And now here I have written a simple delete statement. So what I am doing? Delete from customers where cust ID equal to lcust ID. So depending upon the value of this PLSQL variable lcust ID, the delete statement where clause will be formed. So currently if we see, the value of lcust ID is 2. So when we execute this delete statement, it should delete a record from customers table whose cust ID is 2. So this is how we have written delete statement, and it is integrating with PLSQL. Let us now compile this stored procedure and run it. So let me compile it. Okay, so it has compiled. Let's run it. There we go. So it has executed successfully, but we should see the customers table to see the effect of our delete statement. So let me go to customers table and click data. There we go. You can see that a record with cust ID 2 is not there. So our delete statement has worked successfully. It has deleted that record. So this is how a delete statement is integrated with PLSQL. Let us now go back to our code. We have now reached end of session. Before closing this session, let us quickly revise what we learned in this session. In this session, we learned that DML statements such as insert, update, delete, and select can be executed from PLSQL block. We can use values of PLSQL variables in these statements. We have to be careful about select statement. If select returns more than one records, then an exception is raised. With this, we have finished our session.